nice bottle.
And then this one is a nutrition label.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yes.
But the only thing it says on here is there's 64 calories, no fat, no sodium, 6% carbohydrates, 16 grams of sugar, and no protein. Pound and a half in a pint, and 3 pounds in a quart. I weighed several of them. Then I've got this can.
Yes.
And I weighed it without the weight of the can, and it's got 3 pounds just like the quart does.
Ah,
So it's
I
1
see.
quart can.
1 quart can.
About right here. I'm down to about right there. And Mitzi,
Yes.
let's let and lift this up,
Lift this
and
up.
it'll drop down. The honey will drop down into there, and it'll take a few moments, and then we slow it down about right here, and then we shut it off about right there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Open.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. See this?
We just straighten it up a little bit. There we go. Doesn't take too long.
Honey.
Let me move this, and you getting close.
Yes. Okay. Out.
No, no.
That's it.
Now we're just gonna cut it down to about half.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now.
Yes. About right there. Oh, maybe a little more. This year's honey is light in color.
Because of different flower, you know?
What?
Because of
Yeah.
flower?
Get more blossoms and less flowers. I mean, shut it off.
Okay. Little? Now? It's 44.
A little more.
More?
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 That's
Yes.
a lot of honey. Okay.
Okay. Go all the way down. There you go.
Ooh, that's full.
Don't want to cheat anybody. Oh, it's a little crooked. There we go.
OK、こっち向けて持って、その指持って、はい、はい。Oh.
Top and it's just honey that's got bubbles in it, so it's still good and everything. But if somebody didn't like it, they just take a spoon and spoon it off the top.
He's going to take a picture.
Fall off.
Big full.
It's getting there. That was clear full. Well, up to about here, right here.
Oh, honey. Wow, how nice.
Matt Harper lives on the other side of town. He doesn't have the machines to do all this. So when I got mine out of the way, he come and did his.
I see.
And then he'll be bottling here in the next day or two
I see.
or so.
I see.
Got honey in it.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Honey.
And it's sweet. But there's not as much honey in there as there was the other day. because it's run down through there.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Heated above 135.
Mhm.
That's why they say to soften up hard honey,
Mhm.
it's very convenient and easy
Mhm.
to put a container in the microwave
Mhm.
and microwave it,
Mhm.
but spots of it gets too hot in the microwave.
Uh-huh.
If you do it this slow way with a heating pad,
Yeah.
but you have to use an old heating pad. The new ones turn off in 2 hours. The old ones don't turn off, and you leave it for 2 days,
Uh-huh.
and then this all goes back to
Mhm.
liquid again.
Yeah.
The honey has turned to sugar crystals. Hard. It's still good. See that's
yes,
I'm
yes.
down through the foam on the top. And honey will do that at about 6 months. And it's because honey, when the bees put it in those little cells,
Mhm.
they go by and test it all the time. And when it gets down to 14 or 15% water,
Mhm.
then they cap it over.
That's all right.
And when I uncap it and spin it in our dry atmosphere, it maybe drops from 14 to maybe 12 by the time I get it in the bottles.
Mhm.
And that allows the sugar crystals to form, and it goes hard. Good honey, honest honey, that's not mixed with anything else,
Mhm.
will do that. That's its normal process.
Mhm.
But let's say I was producing honey to sell in the store.
Mhm.
I could mix it, that much honey,
Mhm.
and the rest corn syrup. You know, the clear corn syrup.
Yes.
It makes it lighter in color, looks good.
Yes.
It stays liquid,
Mhm.
but it's not pure honey. There's only 2 states, California and Florida,
Mhm.
that require have requirements to be able to label it pure honey.
Mhm.
Anybody else can mix part corn syrup and still call it pure honey. It's not right. When you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and you get that little packet,
Yes.
you read on it, it says honey sauce, not honey. It says honey sauce. And some of them, you can read the label,
Mhm.
there's only 7% honey in there.
Mhm.
93%
Just a
something else. Sugar, corn syrup, flavoring, coloring. You know, it still tastes really good on a hot biscuit,
Mhm.
but it's not honey.
No nutrition.
No nutrition. Another thing that happens, you saw how I extract this honey.
Yes.
Straight from the hive, out of the hive, into the bottle.
Mhm.
Nothing else added,
Mhm.
nothing else. In China, some of the places in China have a process where they take those frames and they dissolve all the honey in water.
Mhm.
And then it's
Mhm.
liquid. And then they boil it
Mhm.
and boil the water off until it gets down to the consistency of honey
Mhm.
and bottle it up. When they do that, oh, and then they put it through some filters,
Mhm.
some very, very fine filters
Mhm.
when it's still in the watery stage. And it filters all the pollen out of it.
Mhm.
There's no pollen in it. Laboratories around the United States has done tests and found some of that stuff that's done in this other process doesn't have any pollen in it, and it stays liquid on the store shelf. People go in and it's not solid like this, and they think, oh, that's really good honey. No, it's over processed. Over processed. This is actually under processed. because you need to eat it before it goes to like this. Now, you saw me pull some of that off the top. There's a little bit of foam in there. Tastes a little, it feels a little bit more like caramel. Consistency of caramel. But it's still honey. But that's why some people think if you get honey from the store, it's better than getting it from a beekeeper. It's not so. Get it from a beekeeper, you get the real thing,
Right.
guaranteed. Or from a roadside market, or a hobby beekeeper, or go straight to the guy who's a commercial and get it straight from him. Because real honey will go hard like this. And the Chinese, because the word's getting out that they overprocess it, they ship it to Canada. Canada will take it out of 55-gallon barrels and put it in bottles, small bottles, and label it product of Canada. And everybody will say, well, this isn't Chinese honey, this is Canadian honey. No, it's Chinese honey that's been to China and Vietnam, some of the third world countries will do it because it's quicker and easier to do it that way. You can do it with machines. You can pump it through pipes and all of that stuff.
It's not a price.
Yeah. And so what is overprocessed honey? What is pure honey? You know, and they'll tell you these stories. But even that little packet from Kentucky Fried Chicken, 7% honey, it's still good on a warm biscuit with lots of butter.
Yeah, because it's sweet.
It's sweet because it's sweet, yeah. But it's not healthy like this.
No.
It's not as healthy as this. Now, if a person has allergies, they should eat honey from the local area where they're at. Local would be central Utah for my honey, anywhere around central Utah, because they make the honey from the flowers, which some of them might be the ones that they're allergic to, and they get some of that pollen a little bit, not enough to cause them problems or anything, but enough that they can start to build a resistance to that allergy, and it's not a fast medicine, but it can help cure their allergies over time because they're getting a little bit of that pollen in there. Honey coated, when they talk about honey coated cereals, it's still a lot of sugar and some cornstarch and enough honey in there that they can use the word honey on it. But they use the darker stuff. Darker stuff's still good, but the lighter stuff, milder flavor, is graded higher. When you use honey instead of sugar, 3 cups of sugar equals 1 cup of honey. 3 to 1. If you had a recipe and it called for 3 tablespoons of sugar, you do 1 tablespoon of honey, and the sweetness would be the same. They also say that honey is I think I told you this story once, antiseptic. You can put it on a sore and it'll help heal and help keep it from getting infected. But it's sticky and messy. It doesn't work. I've tried it. It doesn't work because it's too sticky. But so my brother, I went and visited him yesterday. He has intestinal cancer, and he's taken chemo through a port in his shoulder right here. And I take him one of these new bottles. I said, Bob, This is your new cancer medicine. Take 1 tablespoon a day.
Mm-hmm.
He says, okay. I said, what? He says, what have I got to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's doing okay. He's 3 sessions of chemo, got 2 sessions to go.
Mm.
And it makes him sick for about a week, and he takes those chemo every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels good for a week, feels bad for a week, feels good for a week, takes another. Because it's intestinal, he's on a restricted diet. There's a lot of things he can't eat.
Mm-hmm.
No meat and potatoes anymore until he gets over it. And he's lost a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks good, he sounds good. He's 82.
Mm.